It's amazing to be young. Sometimes I wake up and it's back.
It's amazing to be young. Yes. Happy summer. Happy post 4th of July. I'm Ralph Strangis, and this is the Ralphcast, the podcast, the TV show, right here from beautiful Coachella Valley, California, where today it is 115 degrees outside. Inside, it's 65 degrees in my living room. I like to hang meat this time of year. The air conditioner is nice and frosty, and so that brings us to the ice, where in today's show, Savannah Huemuller will join, and she will talk to us about goings-on with the Dallas Stars today. The Stars moved some money. This is a very big deal. They got Matt Dumba off the books. What they got back is probably inconsequential, but they were able to move $3 million off of cap space, and that opens up a lot more options for them. We'll talk to Savannah about that. Also, the progress on Glenn Gullickson's new assistant, and are there any rumors hanging around about Jason Robertson? Are we going to sign him? Are we not going to sign him? And then in today's Ralph Stack, we're going to talk tennis with you and Carlos Alcaraz. Look, I know I've tried to sell you this before, but give me a chance today. This kid is changing tennis and changing sports the way we know it. He's got a different way to dominate. And you know what it is? He likes living his life first and playing tennis second. And now he's pretty much on top of the sport. It's a lot of fun, and I'm going to talk to you about that. But first, let's bring in Savannah. And Savannah, about this today, what does this mean? What is this trade, and what do the Stars have because of it? Savannah, it seems that every single week there's something to talk about with these Dallas Stars, and today is no exception. The Stars were able to move the Dumba money for Vladislav Kolyachonok from Pittsburgh. He's a journeyman defenseman. I guess that would be the right way to say this. He's young, he's big, he's 6'1", goes about 200. They needed a body back there, but the biggest thing was, he's on the minimum, $750, and Dumba's 3.75 a year on the books. So they were able to free up $3 million a year. We're going to call him Coley because I don't want either one of us struggling with that name today. But what do you know about the trade, and what will this do to improve Dallas's chances at keeping Jason Robertson if they want to keep Jason Robertson?
Earlier on in the day, I had heard just a couple names being thrown out there, Dumba specifically. And this trade doesn't come as a complete surprise. The Stars really did need to free up that cap space. They were in the hole for a good $1.7 million. And now freeing up that cap space, they're at $1.96 million that they're in the positive. So it's a good thing for the Stars. You move Dumba out. You're getting Coley from the Penguins to come in at league minimum, like you said. And now you can open up the opportunity of these conversations when it comes to Jason Robertson a little bit. Like I said on our last show, the trade rumors are still out there. It wouldn't completely surprise me if those don't completely die down, but they still need to look at what they want to do with Jason Robertson. 1 year left on his contract for about $7 million. I think that they may take it into the season and see how things transpire from there.
Yeah, and I struggle these days with media. And this is not the first time I brought this up. And it's guys that I like, and I think they're fan siding with, we don't have to trade. I don't even want to talk about trading Jason Robertson. I read a lead from a guy who's really good, who covers this. I don't even want to talk about this. It might be upsetting or whatever he said. And then there's a podcast today about we don't have to trade Jason Robertson. Hang on. Can we dispassionately evaluate this a little bit? There are very good reasons that this might happen. There are very good reasons that Robertson may not take the Stars' offer because on the free market, what's the number? I don't know, but it might be a hell of a lot bigger than what the Stars can afford. So, all of this requires some balancing. And with a team that's up at the cap, this isn't we got to sign Robertson thing, right? I mean, there's a lot to work out here. Where do you land on, on sort of how this might play out?
I'm really neutral on the situation because I think as media, you're supposed to be as neutral as possible. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But the thing is with Jason Robertson, the Stars have a lot to look at when it does come to the numbers. He's probably going to be asking for upwards of 8 figures. And they don't have the money to necessarily pay that long term. I mean, we go back to the argument when it comes to Mikko Rantanen. The team is invested in Mikko Rantanen for $12 million for 8 years. That's a big chunk of money, and they're going to want to start building the team around Mikko. I don't know if Jason Robertson fits into that formula, and I think a lot of people absolutely love having Jason Robertson on this team. He's a great production guy in the regular season, but you have to look at the numbers long term. Does it make sense to keep him past a certain point?
Well, and his playoff performances have not been lights out. Now this year we're going to give him a break, and he was good when he came back in, right? Because of the injury. But when you're looking at his playoff body of work and stack it next to somebody like Mikko Rantanen, that you're going to pay, $100 million to, I would make the same commitment to Jason Robertson based on that because the playoffs are different. But I do think it bears scrutiny. And that's the only thing I always kind of get, is irritated, the wrong word. I kind of get irritated by because there's nothing wrong with setting up, hey, are they going to trade? People are doing backflips trying to convince the Stars from the media position that they don't have to trade Jason Robertson, right? And that's kind of weird. Like I saw this post today about our Minnesota Vikings, where one of their reporters said this will be the first time that a rookie QB without playing a down in the NFL will start an opening day game. We are so far away, and they haven't even named a starter. So I'm like, JJ McCarthy, I don't know, man. I don't know, but that's a story for down the road. So, all right, off the media now, and let's move toward the other thing that hasn't sort of been reported yet, which is Glenn Gulutzan gets to hire a coach. You were at Glenn Gulutzan's press conference. There's an assistant opening there. Before we talk about that, tell me your impressions of Gulutzan from being in that press conference, and then did you get a minute or anything to talk to him afterwards? Like, what do you think about Gully following that press conference?
Yeah, absolutely. Glenn Gulutzan, the press conference was fantastic. It was both him and Jim Nill sitting up there addressing the media and the team. And I really liked the way that he presented himself. He obviously kind of took the accountability for back when he first became a head coach in the NHL for the Stars back in 2011. And he just talked about how he wasn't necessarily ready for that moment. And now that he's had a lot of time in the league, especially working with Edmonton the last couple of years, he always felt like going back to Dallas was kind of a full circle moment for him. And we did actually chat real briefly about Jamie Benn. That was something that I asked him during the press conference because Jamie Benn's been in that locker room for quite a while since Glenn Gulutzan has left and now since come back. And he said, he's kept in touch with Jamie. He's been a constant on this team for so long, and he's really excited to be back and build that relationship up with Jamie once again. And he even talked about how he coached Jamie back in Austin with the Texas Stars, and now he wants that full circle moment for him and Jamie Benn coaching this season.
Yeah, and Jamie's, I think this is good for Jamie that he's got a guy that knows him, that can come in at the end here and maybe find the right way to deploy him in his final year or two or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. Because, Jamie had a very uneven year. It was fine during the regular season, not bad. Numbers were pretty good, right? He had 16 goals, 49 points, if I'm remembering, something like that. But he had 1 goal in his final 35 games in the playoffs. His penchant for taking bad penalties at wrong times. But for Mikko Rantanen in Game 7 against Colorado in the third period, Ben's probably wearing it. And it takes a double minor in the first period. They don't score. But Mikko Rantanen got everybody off the hook on that one. So, it's going to be an interesting summer too. So, we keep on, we go. All right. You got anything else to report there, Slick?
I'll just tell you right now, I think, they're keeping real quiet about who is going to be the other assistant head coach under Glenn Gulletson. They obviously have hired Neil Graham. He's been promoted up from the Texas Stars. And then Elaine Nazardine. Glenn Gulletson even talked about how he's going to keep him on the PK as he's heading that. And he did a great job last season doing so. So that's where we're at essentially with the other assistant coaching search. I think the Stars are going to keep this relatively quiet until an announcement drops.
Yeah, and they have, right? Like nobody knew who they were looking at until they hired a guy. And then nobody knew it was Graham until Graham got moved up. And then nobody knew, okay, so that's good. All right, well, listen, next week we might have a surprise or two. Might be next week, might be the week after, but I've got a big surprise for you.
I think you're going to like it. Great.
We have surprises. It's going to be a big surprise. Tell the folks to stay tuned, and I'll see you next week.
All right, Ralph, you take it easy.
You too. Finally, in today's Ralph Stack, a departure from hockey and onto the world of tennis and Carlos Alcaraz, the young phenom who's doing it very well and very differently. The first thing you notice is the smile, because it's seemingly always there, on court and off, and it's hard to notice anything else. He smiles with his whole face. His bright, white, straight teeth pop against his tanned face and square jawline. His cheeks swell to reveal the permanent smiling lines etched due to the constant repetition of the motion, and his eyes sparkle, reflecting all that joy that comes so naturally. The young Spaniard is unlike most superstars you've ever watched, and it's paying big dividends for him and the tennis world. On Friday morning at 8:30 Eastern, the two-time defending Wimbledon champ will take the court against American Taylor Fritz in the 2025 semis. He beats him, and it's likely a rematch of the recent epic French Open final against world number one Yannick Sinner in Sunday's gentlemen's final. Ratings are up. The last slammed the French by 25%. They're coming after market share and gaining on the PGA Tour, which is also bouncing back after the live dip. But it's no longer a no-brainer. If it is those two on Sunday, don't miss it. For real. For the record, Yannick Sinner is still number one and Carlos is number two, but tennis math in this regard is a little bit odd. Maybe you hate tennis. Maybe you don't mind tennis. Maybe like me, you used to like tennis, but you fell off. I'm telling you, now is the time to run and not walk back in. Carlos Alcaraz is different. Quick story. I had a couple of friends here from Texas. Old guys like me, they weren't tennis guys. They were here in Palm Springs to play golf and eat and drink and do vacation things. I said, I got us all tickets to go to the Indian Wells tennis tournament to see Carlos Alcaraz tonight. From their response, it was like I had just asked them to go to a 4-hour reading of the Yellow Pages in a blizzard. They had very little interest. Long story short, we went, they got it fast, and now I get texts from them when he's playing on TV. He's not like anyone else. Why? He's not obsessed with his sport, regularly choosing time with family and friends over practice sessions. He dominates other opponents, and at the end, gives them the most earnest of embraces. He calls them all friends. He applauds their performances, even in losses to him, and he never beats his own drum. He's sweet, kind, and is frequently late to practice because he has to stop and talk to everyone he meets along the way. Is a different path to becoming a superstar possible? Carlos Alcaraz is trying. He still lives with his parents and 4 brothers in the family home in Spain. He spends long stretches at the barracks where he trained as a kid before turning pro at 15, and plays golf after he finishes up with his Wimbledon matches. For Alcaraz, time with family and friends is as or more important than practicing. Swimming, boating, hanging out is preferred to long post-match practice sessions or film work. He famously just went to party in Ibiza after winning the French Open before heading to England for the grass season. He got off vacation in time to stroll into the Queen's Club, the warm-up tournament before Wimbledon, and yeah, he won it. That's his 4th win already on grass. His fellow Spaniard and his idol, Rafa Nadal, over Nadal's career won 4 on grass. I know. Carlos says, I'm building my path to be the greatest tennis player in history, but I'm going to do it my way. The recently released Netflix doc on Carlos reveals a very different kind of player and a very different kind of guy. You know, we all get the message one way or the other that to be the best, you have to outwork everyone else. You have to toil in places others dare not go. You have to take your head in your hands and pound it against a concrete wall until you bleed, and then find a harder wall and go sprinting headfirst into it. We hear the phrase, no pain, no gain, and we're told, or we infer, that means we have to make ourselves absolutely miserable to succeed. Our hands must bleed, our feet must blister, we must feel pain and hurt in order to accomplish big things. We must ruin ourselves in the pursuit of greatness, or greatness never comes. Carlos Alcaraz has found another way. And let's not kid ourselves here. For Carlos Alcaraz to be where he is and accomplish what he has already, he's put in the time, no question about that. His coach, former world number one, Juan Carlos Ferrero, is mentor, friend, and loving uncle. Their bond is real. They've been together since Carlos was in his early teens. Juan Carlos took one look at the kid and immediately knew what was going to be his life's work. During matches when things aren't going well, Carlos looks fast to Ferrero for guidance and to get the train back on the tracks. Lots of times a quick look or instruction fixes the problem. They laugh, they smile, they joke around. Everything always upbeat. There is so much joy among that group, and it's rubbing off on the rest of tennis. The US Open has a new wrinkle this year, and they'll play mixed doubles. Carlos asked Emma Raducanu to be his partner. Emma, a solid player in her own right, said she's trying to play with more joy, like Carlos, and that when she has, she's found more success. On the court, Alcaraz moves like a flashy matador, drawing in his opponents to deliver fatal strikes, while gesturing to the crowd to stand and applaud in support. He's a showman above all else, and ticket prices to see him wherever he goes go off the charts. But it's only a story if he can play. Anyone can do this. Have real balance, put family over work, put vacations over practice. But can you really dominate this way? Okay, here it is in 2025. He's 42-5 and is currently riding a career-best 23-match winning streak. If he wins Wimbledon, that's 2 matches away, only he and Bjorn Borg will have accomplished winning the French and Wimbledon in back-to-back years. Think about that. This is a shot maker without peer and an expert drop shot volleyer who can break an opponent's heart with either a 100-mile-an-hour laser down the line or a chip dink over the net that buckles their knees. He covers the court like no one else, getting to shots most couldn't come within 10 feet of and ripping the ball right back cross court to a bewildered opponent. And he wins. All he does is win. It looks like he's going to lose for sure, and then he wins like he did in the French Open. Carlos was dead. The number one player in the world had 3 straight match points. Alcaraz fended them all off, crawled back into the match, and an hour and a half later, lifted the trophy. What we're seeing, folks, is a comet, a one-off, a very happy young guy with a supportive family who travels with him to all his matches. His mother cooks for him. His coaches are his friends. He's the nicest kid on tour, and it isn't close. Other players start smiling when anyone ever asks about Carlos. So no, you don't have to be a badass to be a real badass. You don't have to skulk around and drive your nails into your eyeballs and publicly suffer to be brilliant. It's just that nobody ever tells you there's another way to do it. Until now. The roadmap has been drawn by Carlos Alcaraz, and we all would be foolish not to give it a real look. That's our show for today. Thanks to Savannah Hughmuller as always, and thanks to my assistant, the great Kelly Ortiz. Next week, we'll have a surprise for you, but it won't be a surprise by the time you watch the show. It's a riddle. Figure it out. Until then and for now, watch Carlos Alcaraz this week and take a look here as we go out on the Ralphcast, the podcast, the TV show, right here.